Welcome to the Heart of Mathematics. Today we are discussing quadratic equations. We're going to start with this first one. 6x squared plus 15x plus 6 is equal to 0. So the first thing we look for is every term is on the one side and we have a 0 on the other side. This we do if we're dealing with quadratic equations, and we see that there's a positive sign in front of the x squared. So if there isn't, we take it to the other side. Okay, so now we start with the x squared and with the 6. So we'll start with the 6x squared and the 6. So now we have to get the factors of those and see which one of those gives us 15. So now I'm going to say 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 1 also gives me 6. So now cross multiply, I say 6 times 6 is 36, and 1 times 1 is 1. So now I see 36 plus 1 is 37, and that's not equal to 15. So now what I do is I take, let's try 6 and 1, and we flip the 6 and 1. So we say 1, so we say 6 and 1. Now we see it's 6 times 1 is 6, and 1 times 6 is 6. So now 6 plus 6 is 12, which does not give me 15. So it doesn't work. So now we try 3 times 2, and we try, let's say, 6 and 1. Now we see 3 times 6 is 18, and 2 times 1 is 2. So 2 plus 18 gives me 20, which does also not work. So now we try the flip, so it's 3 and 2, and now we flip the 6 and the 1, so it's 6 and 1. So remember, we're trying to get factors of 6, which is the first part here in each part, and then factors of 6 again because we're looking at that part, so that's the second part here. So now 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 6 is 12, which gives us 12 plus 3 is 15. So we know we must use the 3, 2, 6, and 1. So now how we're going to use this is we say, so now you look across, so you say it's 3x plus 6, 3x plus 6 times 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So now we have the equation factorized, and now we can proceed to the next step to set each bracket equal to 0. So now we say 3x plus 6 is equal to 0, or 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So now on this side, I'll put a link to my first video that I did on linear equations on the screen now. So now I'm going to start with this first one. So 3x plus 6. So to get rid of that plus 6, I subtract 6 on the left-hand side. But because I subtracted 6 on the left-hand side, I also have to subtract it on the right. So I'm left with 3x plus 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. So I have the equal sign, and 0 minus 6 is minus 6. Now, to get rid of that 3, because our goal is to get x equal to some number, so now what I can do is I can divide the 3 by 3, because 3x divided by 3 is just 1. But because I divided by 3 on the left, I also have to divide by 3 on the right. So what I'm left with is x equal to 6 divided by 3. So I'm left with x equal to minus 6, minus 6 divided by 3 is equal to minus 2. So I have my final answer of x equal to minus 2. Now to do the other part here, so what I'm going to do is to get rid of that plus 1, I have to subtract 1. But because I subtracted 1 on the left, I also have to subtract 1 on the right hand side. So what I'm left with is 2x plus 1 minus 1 is just 0. So I have the equal sign, and the 0 minus 1 is just minus 1. Now my goal is to get x equal to some number. So it's x equal to some number. So now what I do to get rid of that 2 is I divide by 2 on the left hand side. But because I divided by 2 on the left, I also have to divide by 2 on the right. So now what I'm left with is 2x divided by 2, which is just x, equal to, and minus 1 divided by 2 is minus a half. So my two answers for the first question is x equal to minus 2 and x equal to minus a half. Now I'm just going to test my answers. So I say 6. I'm first going to test the x equal to minus 2. So x times minus 2 squared x times minus 2 squared plus 15 times minus 2 plus 6 is equal to, now minus 2 squared is just 4, so I'm left with 6 times 4 minus 2 times 15 is minus 30, so I'm left with minus 30 plus 6. So now I can see 6 times 4 is 24, 24 minus 30 plus 6. So now I'm left with 30, well 24 plus 6 is 30, so I'm left with 30 minus 30, which is equal to 0. So I know x equal to minus 2 works. So now to test x equal to minus a half, so I have 6 times minus a half squared plus 15 times minus 1 divided by 2 plus 6. So that is equal to, so minus a half squared is just 6. Well, it's 6 times minus a half squared, so minus a half squared is just 1 divided by 4. And then 15 times minus a half is just minus 7.5 or 7.5 plus 6. So now I have 6. Now what I'm left with is 6 times a fourth, which is just 6 divided by 4 plus, or minus 7.5 plus 6. So now I can say the 6 divided by 4, we can divide it by 1, so divide by 2 divided by 2. So what we're left with here is 3 divided by 2 minus 7.5 plus 6. So now 3 divided by 2 is just also 1.5. Now 1.5 plus 6 is 7.5. And we're left with minus 7.5, which is equal to 0. And I know my two answers of x equal to minus 2 or x equal to minus a half is correct. Now to the second question. 4x squared. 4x squared plus 4x is equal to minus 1. Now if I looked at this, I have to get a 0 on the one side and all the terms on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4x squared and I'm going to subtract 4x. But because I did it on the left, I also have to do it on the right. So it's equal to minus 1 minus 4x squared minus 4x. So I'm left with 0 is equal to minus 4x squared minus 4x minus 1. But this is still not in the form that we wanted because there's a minus 4 in front of the x squared. So we're looking for a 4x, a positive number in front of the x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4x squared. I'm going to add 4x. And I'm going to add 1. But because I did it on the right side, I also have to do it on the left side. So what I'm left with is, because it's 0, plus 4x squared (0 plus 4x) and 0 plus 1, which is just 1, is equal to, now minus 4x squared plus 4x squared is just 0, minus 4x plus 4x is also 0, and minus 1 plus 1 is also 0. So I'm left with 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. So you see it's much easier just to take the minus 1 to the left, to add 1 on the right and add 1 on the left, than to take all those two to the one side and then take all 3 to the other side, because I need the 4x squared, not minus 4x, to proceed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the factors of 4 and the factors of 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 4 times 1 is equal to 4, and 1 times 1 is equal to 1, but I need 4. So what I have here is 4 times 1, which is 4, and I have 1 times 1, which is 1. but 1 plus 4 is 5. It's not equal to 4. And if I change this, if I say it's 1 and 4, and 1 and 1, it's still going to be 4 times 1, which is 4, and 1 times 1, which is 1, and it's still going to equal 5. So none of these are going to work. So what I'm going to try and do now is get other factors of 4. So I'm going to try 2 times 2, which gives me 4, and I'm going to try 1 times 1, which gives me the 1. So now I say 2 times 1, which is 2, and 2 times 1, which is 2. Now you see 2 plus 2 gives me 4. So I'm going to use this inside my brackets. So what I'm going to use now is I'm going to say, sorry about that. So now I'm going to say it is 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. And there I factorized my equation. If you want to see how I did questions that are only x squared with not a number in front of the x squared, I'll put a link to it on the video now. And the next video I'm going to do is when there are no factors that work, that there's no equal like whole number that you can use to solve these equations. Then you have to use a formula to solve these equations, which you also can do with any equation if you would like to. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set each term equal to 0. So I'm going to say 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, or 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now you can see it's the same number, so I can only do it once, or I can do it twice. It's just easier when you pressured for time to do one, because the two x's are going to be equal. So I'm going to first do this one. So to get rid of the plus 1, I'm going to subtract 1 on the left hand side, but because I subtracted 1 on the left, I also have to subtract 1 on the right. So what I'm left with is what I'm left with is 2x. Now plus 1 minus 1 is just 0, so it's equal to, and now 0 minus 1 is minus 1. Now to get rid of the 2 in front of the x, I divide by 2, because 2x divided by 2 is just x. But because I divided by 2 on the left hand side, I also have to divide by 2 on the right hand side. So I'm left with x is equal to minus 1 divided by 2. So now I'm going to do this one here. So to get rid of the plus 1 on the left hand side, I have to subtract 1 on the left. Now because I subtracted it on the left, I also have to subtract it on the right, so minus 1 on the right. So what I'm left with here is 2x plus 1 minus 1 is just 0. So it's equal to, now 0 minus 1 is just minus 1. Now to get rid of the 2, I have to divide by 2 on the left hand side, because 2x divided by 2 is just x. But because I divided by 2 on the left, I also divide by 2 on the right. So what I'm left with here is x equal to, now minus 1 divided by 2, which is just a half. So you can see it's the same answer, so you can do it twice if you want to, but if you pressured for time, just do it once, because you can see both x's are the same. So now I'm just going to test my answer. So I'm going to say my original question was 4x squared. So I'm going to say 4 times minus 1 divided by 2 squared plus 4 times minus 1 divided by 2 is equal to, now minus 1 divided by 2 squared is just a fourth, so it's 4 times 1 divided by 4. Now plus, now 4 times minus 1 is minus 4, so it's minus 4 divided by 2 is equal to, now 4 divided by 4 is just 1, and minus 4 divided by 2 is minus 2. So I'm left with 1 minus 2, which is equal to minus 1, which was the right hand side. So we know our answer of x equal to minus a half is correct. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, you are a lot smarter than your calculator. Remember, tomorrow I'll post a video where I explain if there's no whole number that works. So look out for that, and please remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon.